Being a middle-aged or older runner is not the same thing as being a younger runner. Sure, each group have their challenges, but there are a certain set of hard truths specific to runners under 35 that they definitely need to know. But they're also not a bad reminder to all of us at any age. So here are 9 hard truths of being a younger runner. Alright, why not start the first hard truth while I'm out on my weekend long run? Seems like a fitting place to do it. And actually, the first hard truth might be the opposite to what you expect. It might be counterintuitive, but that is that younger runners are actually more prone to getting injured than older runners. I'm just at my halfway point break. By the way, Point Break, amazing film. So you would think being an older runner would mean you're more prone to get an injury because maybe you've got less muscle density or mass, maybe you're a little bit less flexible, or maybe you're just generally old. But just because you're more prone to getting injured doesn't mean you're going to get injured. And that's the slight difference I'm getting at. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can help you some more. Okay, off we go again. Let's look at it this way. And I speak from experience, by the way, because I was younger once, but younger runners, in fact, actually younger people have a slightly more cavalier attitude to everything. And that's okay, that's quite refreshing. But when it comes to running, what it means is perhaps they push too hard on an easy session. Perhaps they run a few too many miles in a week. Perhaps they ignore the early warning signs once too often. But all of that will contribute to actually younger runners getting injured that little bit more, because us older runners, we've been there, we know what it feels like, we're getting quite good at protecting ourselves so we can stay in the game. Obviously, I'm speaking in generalities, but just really what I'm saying is just look after yourself, even when you're young. One hard truth that's almost a rite of passage, and I'm not saying this in any way to brag, is that when you're younger, you have less financial stability, generally, not always. So while I'm showing you things in the background like a treadmill that we were able to buy, and hang on, just look at these trainers. I mean, that's more than ridiculous, but that's because we're YouTubers, not because we're greedy. But the fact is that you start earning your biggest wages, I guess, when you're in between your 40s and 50s generally. So when you're a bit younger, it's actually quite nice. I think it takes us back to the purest sense. Like you have 1, maybe 2 pairs of trainers and that's it, and you just go out and you thrash them and then you buy some more. And there's no need for all of this ridiculousness. But remember, we're, let's just say, a little bit older, we've been through this and we're on the other side. And whilst it's a hard truth that you might not have as much financial stability or financial spending power to buy all this stuff, it's also quite a freeing truth that you can just put your trainers on still, go out and run. And as I do my Thursday track session and I'm on the marathon paced section of the warm-up, there's a hard truth. There's kind of like a realization for me now, but it's definitely one when you're a younger runner. And that is that you do not, when you are younger, appreciate speed, the speed that you have, until it's gone. That's just the thing, right? I ran my PB, my fastest ever marathon time, at the age of 45. So I still feel like there is kind of getting faster in me, but when I think about how fast maybe I could run a 100, 200, 400, even maybe a 5K, I don't know if I've got that in me anymore. I don't know. What I do know is kilometre repeats feel pretty disgusting at this age, but I seem to remember they feel pretty disgusting at any age, so I'll crack on. I'm just about to get a stunning example of this. Not that she knows I'm about to ask her this question, but Mary, I'm about to ask you this question as she runs over for the kilometre repeats. How fast is your fastest 200 metres?
26.9 seconds.
26.9. Could you run that now?
Absolutely not. Did
you appreciate how fast you were when you were that fast?
No idea.
See? That's 2 reps in. That's hurting already. 25.13. But don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about like speed as in you're the fastest person in the world, but your personal fastest. It might not be that you appreciate you're at your peak and at your fastest until it's too late. But the thing is, if you stay in running, obviously, with consistency, you'll either delay that or you'll keep getting faster longer than you think. Where's Mary? Here comes Mary. Hi. she's still trying to get faster.
When you're young, you could be living a charmed life as a runner, but the hard truth is that most of the mistakes you're going to make are ahead of you. Now, on the face of it, it sounds like it sucks. It could mean injury ahead, periods of time away from running, heartache, frustration, but it doesn't have to be viewed like that. Some mistakes have to be lived to be learned from. Where is the line for your body? How hard can you push? We've spoken about it before, but there are mistakes to be experienced and the ones you need to avoid by listening to others. But generally, all of those mistakes are ahead. Have I ever gone too hard in a session? Of course. Have I ever picked up an overuse injury? Yes. Have I blown up in races or run out of energy or forgotten my gels? Yes to all. And I always say, mistakes are okay, just try not to make the same one twice. But as long as you frame mistakes in the right way, as an experience to enrich you and make you a stronger runner, even though they're ahead of you, they'll soon be behind you.
One hard truth of being a younger runner is that you might find it difficult to get consistency in your training.
As a younger person, you might have quite a busy life. You might have a busy social life, busy building a career or exploring work opportunities. You might be studying or training, or you might have a young family with young children who demand a lot of time. So when you're in that bracket, when you're exploring all kinds of things with your life, it can be really hard to pin down the consistency that you ideally want to progress your running. Look at this. Gorgeous. Speaking from my own experience, I definitely didn't get consistency in my running in my 20s and early 30s. I enjoyed loads of nights out, late nights, drinking alcohol, and at that point it's so easy to skip a day, have a lie-in, not make the run happen. So it can make it a challenge for your training, but you do get through it. I'm on the other side. You find more balance, you begin to focus in on what's important to you, and when you're ready to be there, it feels good.
One hard truth that I've personally had to deal with the hard way is that when you're younger, diet choices that you make might not be the best because your metabolism is higher, you can work it off, but it sets bad habits for the future. So when I was a kid, even a young adult, I didn't make the best diet choices, probably ate whatever I wanted whenever I wanted, and what's happened now is that I have a real passion for bad foods that I've had to unpick. A passion, and I know it, and I know it's a bad habit, but I've had to put so many structures in place to make sure I don't give in. So whereas before, what I probably would have done with this lunch, instead of having rice and omelette, what would have I had, Mary?
Burger and chips.
Burger and chips.
Every time.
Yeah, every time. And that's the difficulty that I face because I didn't set my good habits early. I didn't make the right choices early, and I'm having to unpick that. Even at school, every day I was kind of having hamburger and chips or frankfurter and chips, and that's not a good place to be when you get to the point in your life where you find it a little bit more difficult to maybe work it off, let's say. So I guess what I'm saying is don't make the same diet habit mistakes that I made. Get on it early and reap the rewards when you get a little bit older. Then you can every now and then have a little veggie spring roll. One hard truth of being a younger runner that maybe someone like me didn't have to face is the dangers and pressures of this bad boy here. Because all I see on my social media feed are runners, people having good times, sharing the best versions of themselves at the best times in their lives. And we know that that's not a true or fair representation of what life is, but what it does do is it causes unrealistic expectations, and it maybe puts some pressures on runners that wouldn't normally have been there 10 to 20 years ago. So just remember, when you sit down for the evening, when you're scrolling, it's not real life. The good creators obviously share more of real life, but even then, it's a highlight reel. You don't have to look a certain way, you don't have to run a certain way, you don't have to conform in any way. You just have to be you, and you have to be a runner. Hi, Winnie. Isn't she like the cutest?
Another hard truth is that younger runners think that they can get away with it, and the frustrating thing is actually they probably can, but that's not the point. So I think of it like this. Maybe you come in from a run and you don't stretch, or maybe you don't fuel during the session like you should do. Maybe you go for a cheeky night out the night before a run and either the run is of low quality or you miss it. Maybe you just don't invest in the strength and conditioning that you're supposed to do. And when you're young, you can get away with it, but that's not the hard truth bit. The hard truth is that you're setting bad habit patterns. Maybe you would benefit from just a structure of stretching. Maybe once or twice a week you should be doing the strength and conditioning long term. And if you set those habits early, if you set those patterns early, you will reap rewards in later life. But if you don't set those patterns, then it's, take it from me, very difficult to set later down the line. And that's the hard truth. Not that you can get away with it, because you can, but that you're not setting the right habit patterns for later down the line when you get to where I am and beyond.
And the final hard truth, and probably one that we would all benefit from knowing, is that there are no hacks to this. Despite the fact that you probably clicked on this video thinking I'm going to give you 9 hacks to be a faster runner or a better runner, really, the true hack is consistency. It's staying in the game. It's doing all the right things. Sure, some nice shoes might make you that little bit faster, but ultimately, long term, there's only one way to approach your running journey. Stay consistent. And hopefully that convinced you enough to subscribe to the channel. And if you like this video, you're also gonna like this video, which was the 9 hard truths of being a long-term runner, which I'm hoping, obviously, is your next step. See you Wednesday.